when I was in high school, I was actually, I dealt with sexual assault,
Mm-hmm.
and it was from a family member. So it was like within very close knit. So around that time, I was cutting every day. It was a struggle because I think any person that goes through sexual violence, it's like
Yeah.
a lot to sort through emotionally, right? And then
Yeah.
not having the foundation to even understand what emotions are just makes it that much harder for
Yeah.
Polynesians. And then for it to be a family member too, it's just
Yeah.
even harder, you know,
Yeah.
because we're Polynesians are known for being close knit, strong family ties. So when you are violated by someone that you're supposed to trust, it's just, it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so for my story, I did tell my family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I told my mom, and my mom, uh, just based off like a little bit that the little bit that I've told you, she was like very strong when I told her, thankfully.
Yeah.
And just asked what I wanted to do. I told her pretty soon after it happened. And I think she was able to think clear enough to know that what I needed was just someone to be there for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of what the role that she played in the situation. And it was actually on my Samoan side, so it was on my dad's side as far as the situation. Um, so when I told him, I really didn't want to tell my dad. I remember just being,
Yeah.
yeah. So again, my mom told me if I wanted to tell him, I could. If not, then that's fine too. But I decided that I wanted to speak up and I wanted to say something only because um, I have cousins and just thinking about people after me. Um,
And how old were you when that happened?
I was 17.
17. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Um, yeah, so it was my senior year in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of transitioning out of school, thinking more about college. So
Mm-hmm.
thankfully, I think that was the best time it could have been for me because it was right before I was leaving. I went to Santa Barbara for undergrad,
Mm-hmm.
so it kind of gave me like a fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
But so I told my dad, and I remember his initial reaction was that it was actually like it was my fault almost. His initial reaction, I
Yeah.
think, just because he didn't understand what I was trying to tell him, was like, "Oh, were you having a relationship with this person?" And I was like, "No, this wasn't by choice," you know. And I I think it was just pure like confusion, like what the hell is going on, shock, really just not being able to believe that something like this could happen to his daughter, to someone within the family. um, so after we cleared it up, he understood what happened, and
Mm-hmm.
um, just, he was angry,
Yeah.
and so we ended up, both families came together, and the news came out, um, and we actually went to the police about it. So that was another uh, level to
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
is speaking up on it. And sorry, I'm just trying to pick my words
No, I got you. I
like
got you. I feel it.
to make sure that I'm expressing this the best way that I possibly
Yeah.
can.
Yep. Yep.
And yeah, it was difficult because I felt like um, really, if I could go back to our original conversation when we first started the podcast about
Mm-hmm.
the strength of a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
woman who sacrifices and the woman that speaks out. So
Yeah.
that is how I could relate how I was feeling,
Mm-hmm.
because I was raised in a younger generation where
Mm.
women are taught to be more independent, and I
Yeah.
wanted to protect other women. At the same time, I remember no, that came after actually. But there were other things in the news that came up about women speaking out. I think um, the the Me Too movement came not too long after
Mm-hmm.
uh, the incident at Stanford.
Mhm.
with the water polo player.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Things in the outside world
Mhm.
that was pushing me to be strong and to speak up and to say my story.
Mhm.
But then culturally, um, it was like, oh, you're willing to put the family at risk because of what happened, or you're willing to bring shame to the family because of what happened. Um, is is kind of how I received it.
Yeah. So that's something I just wanted to jump in there real
Yeah.
quick. For me, that's one of the most toxic things that we practice as a culture. And I've seen this so many times where they put the family name above the well-being of the child of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's more important. Like, and because I've seen that I've had personal experiences with people where they go through like struggles like what you talk about right now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what they tell me, like, oh, like when they bring up and when they finally open up to their family, instead of the reaction, hey, like, are you okay? You need some love, you need support. The
Mm-hmm.
first reaction is, oh wow, what are people going to say about our family?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, for me, which is crazy. Like, for me, it's like if somebody comes up to you and like somebody comes up to me and was like, hey, I just got abused. I'm like, who? Like, what the hell? Like, I'll be like, yo, what's going on? Like, I'm more focused on that person
Mm-hmm.
than anything else. But I've seen it so many times where in the Polynesian community where the well-being of the family name, the reputation of the family name is more of a priority than what happened to you. And I've seen this so many times, and that's why based on my conversation with a lot of women are like that, why they don't want to come out. I was like, because for me it's like that's something that I've always wanted to like figure out, because I mean I'm never that's never happened to me. It was like, how come like these Polynesian women are not just coming out?
Mm-hmm.
But then when I finally had individual conversations, that's one of the main things I always hear. That's kind of like common. They always say, "Oh yeah, I didn't want to let down the family. Or I didn't want to bring down the family."
Yeah, because thankfully, again, I feel like having a younger, my parents being younger, they were supportive. So it wasn't
Yeah,
that I felt that from my immediate family,
yeah, yeah,
even like my grandparents and stuff like that. But being the girl in the family, it was, oh well, now I'm going to be the reason why at the next family barbecue, we either don't go or it's awkward, and so I feel like I like put a lot of that pressure on myself too.
yeah,
So that's why I said that's how I perceived it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because I do want to say that, like, thankfully, I have the privilege of having a supportive and open family where I know in a lot of other families, it would have been completely different. So I think that I'm just thankful for a supportive family in general. But yeah, I think that was definitely, I think you hit it on with like women, Polynesian women who have been abused, just being afraid of rocking the boat because that's not what
yeah,
we're supposed to do.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, that's up there. Just yeah, I see all the time, and based on the conversations I have, like where yeah, like, and then number one, that's what I say. Anybody that's watching this, and if you're going through some type of like sexual abuse, I highly like, please, you have to bring that up, like, because I feel like I know it's tough, especially when all the layers of the things we go through culturally, and how you've been raised, and especially the judgment and criticism that's going to be perceived. I remember, I don't know if you saw it. I did one of my podcasts. Like I remember this girl. I don't know if her name was Nini. She talked about her
Mm-hmm.
her. I don't know if you saw that or no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she talked about her rape, being raped from these couple guys, and I feel like and it was just crazy. For me, it was just like it was just crazy for me where uh, like the first response of like the Polynesian community, especially on social media, was like I think something you said like before, like when you kind of first opened up, they first made it seem like it was your fault.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I mean, that's what it seemed like, but then they finally understood the story, what you said, and then they finally, okay, this is what happened. But that's something that I kind of noticed, especially with a lot of like Polynesian women, or when it comes to sexual abuse, especially from family members, especially if it's family members, like a well-respected family member.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the first response, like, oh, like when that she egged them on, or it's her fault.
Mm.
And for me to like that kind of thinking, like that like that's crazy for me. Like
Yeah.
to think that some child egged an adult, like, you know, it's her fault why that adult peels. But for some reason, that's like everybody's initial response.
Yeah.
And then for me, like, I don't understand how people have that mentality, but it's crazy for me how people have that like that way of thinking, that they literally blame the younger girl, and she, like, you know, it's her fault for the reason why this adult definitely was the reason why that happened in the first place.
Mm.
And I feel like, and like you said, I feel like that just stems to what you said. Like, we as a culture, we don't have the information to learn about feelings of happiness or mental health. And then all we know is just what we've been taught.
Yeah.
So, you know, if something happens, we're always going to fall back to what we've been taught, which is the elders is always right.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. And it's not it's not the way it should be working.